Happy birthday, CJ. Guys, it's CJ's birthday. Happy birthday. And I make her work on her birthday. I'm sorry, CJ. I'm sorry. I hope you have a really great day. I guess your day is almost over. Your whole birthday is almost over. We missed it all. I wish we could all be there. I had a great big party for you. Probably all get killed by spiders, but at least you would have a fun birthday first, right? I mean, we have deadly spiders here too, but when I think of going to Australia, I'm probably either going to drink myself to death or I get killed by a spider. Or a dropping bear, a drop bear, a bear that drops from the tree and bites you to death. It's not a real bear, it's a koala bear. Things I didn't need to know, CJ. I didn't need to know things about like that. Okay, Texas A&M. They were doing construction and there was a workplace fatality. So what we're going to watch is the civil trial of who's to blame for this. And I don't have everything. I don't have the opening statements. I don't have every single day, but it's still going on, the trial. I'm still getting it. So we're not going to get a decision today. But this lawyer right here, he's the star of our show. And this lawyer here, he's in this position a lot. And I don't know if I got it on. I don't know if I recorded it, but do you see this little cord on the floor in this computer right here? Okay, let's just look at this computer. Well, this monitor. This lawyer here is not allowed to walk past this computer at all because he kept annoying this team over here. So now the judge won't let him walk any further. So it doesn't appear from this camera angle that he has socks on, but that's okay. Listen, that's going to be the least that annoys you about this lawyer. I promise. All right. So I don't think it's every time, but when you see someone appear on this screen right here, this is the trial. This is the jury trial to see who's responsible. It's civil. It's not criminal. Okay. When you see someone appear on this screen right here, that was usually from a prior, they testified on video prior at a different hearing. And then we are rewatching it during trial. So if you're watching OJ, sort of like the Rosa Lopez thing. So they don't answer questions when they're on the screen like it is the trial. They say you'll hear them say, I don't feel comfortable answering that right now, because they know they're going to have to answer that question during the trial. So just so you don't get confused, when you see someone on the screen, most of the time it is pre-recorded. It is a pre-recorded interview. So I think we're starting with that. I'm not sure though, because this was back on the 24th of April was the first day I got this. So here we go. Happy birthday.
151. It talks about how TNT arrived on site somewhere around 8:40. You see that time?
Yeah.
And there was a meeting that was held with the general contractor. Do you see that?
Yes.
And were you involved in that meeting?
I believe I was involved with that, yes.
And we're trying to figure out who's involved on behalf of the GC or general contractor. Was that Israel Perez, the superintendent?
Yes.
He was the individual for Burn Construction on site that day that was participating in the safety meeting that we've been discussing.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so at least the three of you, Burn Construction, or Israel Perez from Burn Construction, yourself as project manager for Wade Mechanical, and then it looks like somebody from TNT, and it doesn't really tell us who, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm also going to show you exhibit number 7. And it talks about on page Burn 225. There's some notes here at the bottom of the page that also seem to reference this meeting. Do you see the term pre-pick meeting?
Yes.
And you're familiar with that term pre-pick meeting?
Yes.
In other words, that's a industry term for describing the safety meeting that happens before a lifting operation takes place, right?
Yes.
There were 3 companies that participated in that meeting that we just discussed. Wade Mechanical, TNT Crane and Rigging, and Burn Construction, right?
Yes.
How long did that meeting last, if you know?
I want to say somewhere between 5 to 15 minutes.
Okay. I also read there were some notes where there was, they actually walked around the site where the lift would be taking place. You recall that?
I recall walking around the ground floor area, reviewing that part of the project. I don't recall walking to the floor or the entire team on that part.
Pre-pick meeting is what they're saying. Pick as in when the crane lifts this thing off the ground. Pre-pick meeting.
Okay. Was the crane operator involved in that pre-pick meeting?
I believe everybody from TNT was involved with that.
Oh, okay. So when this safety meeting took place before the lift, where it sounds like y'all did a walk around and discussion on the bottom floor, but y'all did go up to the 4th floor, right?
If they did, I was not a part of that.
Okay. Where did you go after the meeting finished?
I believe at that point in time, the trucks were getting delivered to the site that had the units on them. And I was getting with our other trade members to make sure that they had their sequencing and orientation figured out for each unit.
Did TNT ever tell you during that meeting that the unit had flipped over in their yard the previous day?
Not in that meeting.
They tell you why it fell over?
He said it was top heavy and it fell when they were rigging it up to the truck.
So, right, that morning, during this,
Pre-pick, not pre-pick. I didn't know. I heard pre-pick. So I don't know if you just heard that. So we're listening to something that was pre-recorded. We're going to get to the trial again soon, but what we're hearing was recorded before. And what they just said was, so the crane fell over and one man lost his arm because the crane fell on him and the other man died. The crane crushed him. Well, what they were asking this guy was, did TNT tell you that the day before this unit had fallen over?
Safety meeting process, it was learned that the unit had fallen over the prior day and was top heavy unsafe, right?
Yes.
during this pre-lit meeting, that was the time to discuss the JHA in terms of the hazards associated with the job, right?
Yes,
And steps to be taken to mitigate the hazards, right?
yes,
You would say that the three entities that had an obligation to make sure that any hazards were corrected, that would be, these three companies here, Wave, TNT, and Burn, right?
yes,
I mean, the entire lift operation should not have started.
Well, I just don't want to play this trial today. Anything that has to do with power tools, and yes, for me, a crane is a power tool. I just don't get why they have to be so hard. Why? Why? I got a weed whacker that's gas powered, but I can't start it's so heavy. It's like 70 pounds. It's the motor on it is so heavy. It took me hours of frustration to get it started today. Finally, I mean, I was at a point where the weed whacker was on top of a trash can and there was a brick to hold it in one spot. And I was using the side of the building to hold it in another spot. My foot is on the building and I'm trying to hold this. I'm trying to pull it to start over and over and over again like a mower. Because there's no physical way I could possibly hold it with one hand and pull it with another. It's not possible. I don't know how they expect you to start these. I don't know why they make it so hard. Why can you turn a key to start your gas engine in your car, but on power tools you have to pull that thing over and over and over and over and over and over again? Yeah, I haven't tried the chainsaw yet. Yeah, I this is what I figured. I figured I would get the gas one because, it would be more durable. It would be easier. I wouldn't have to worry about a cord. I could just walk around. It is not. It is never, ever buy a gas power tool. Don't. I don't know. I know that this crane over here is gas. And I can see it because top heavy, this thing was this was awful. It was an awful experience. It took me hours and it was bad. And I don't want to go with all of this stupid trial with this stupid crane because why can't they make things easier? I just don't get it.
Without a proper JHA that identified and discussed the steps to mitigate or eliminate those hazards during this meeting, right?
yes,
In fact, I'm gonna show you what I've marked as exhibit number 27. It's another document that I received from Burn Construction. It starts on, it's covered up here by my exhibit sticker. But we're gonna go down to Bates number 203, Burn 203. Can you see my screen, sir?
yes,
These are some meeting minutes that we received from Burn Construction. Do you see the prep meeting up here?
yes,
It talks about down here, the notes saying walk, and it's kind of difficult because it's cut off, but we'll do the best we can, okay, Mike?
okay,
It says walk the job site to determine the location of the crane and any noticeable hazards for all to be aware of. Do you see that?
yes,
When we're talking about the safety meeting that occurred that morning, this is what it's referencing to the best of your knowledge, right?
yes, I think each company called in JHO out.
We're not allowed to make whippers snippers work around here. We get in trouble.
Right, but we're not talking about filling out a JJ, we're talking about walking the work site to identify hazards for everybody to be aware. You with me?
Yes, okay.
And that's what happened that morning, to the best of your knowledge, right?
Yes, yes.
Your
At
heart
least
feeling
on
good
ground
today,
plans, right, right.
Meadow?
Everybody who was gonna be participating in this lift, from burn construction to weight mechanical to weight engineering to TNT crane rigging, they participated to the best of your knowledge in this walk around and safety meeting, right?
Yes.
Did you come to learn that it was windy out there that day?
I recall it being windy that day, yes.
I saw some language where there were some complaints that it was too windy and there was a discussion as to whether or not to fall off the lift. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Just a minute ago, we were talking about the wind. There was a discussion about it potentially being too windy during that safety meeting that morning with everyone present, right?
Yes.
And one of the hazards that were, I mean, tell me what you recall about the discussion about the wind.
My recollection, the wind plays a role, above a certain, speed. And it's up to the, crane operator to determine whether or not that wind speed is, sufficient or acceptable to be able to proceed with the lifting operation.
Have you ever heard of a standard where if it's above 30 miles per hour, you have to call off the lift?
I've heard 25 and 30.
Somewhere between 25 and 30, right?
It depends on the crane, but yes.
Okay, and so your understanding, going back to this safety meeting, was, look, there was a hazard of wind that was discussed. Your understanding was that somewhere between 25 and 30 miles per hour, that's kind of a cutoff, but it's the crane operator's responsibility to make that call, fair?
Yes.
And that was something that you all discussed during that safety meeting, and the crane operator elected to move forward with the lift, fair?
Yes.
And so you would say, look, if there was if wind played a role in this unit flipping over, and that was a known hazard, and it was above that 25 to 35 limit, that's on the crane operator, right?
Yes.
One of the things, have you ever heard of an emitter?
I have not heard that term before.
That's a wind gauge on a crane. Did you know that?
I know cranes have wind gauges. I didn't know the term for it.
Okay, that's fine. Either way, you do know though that a crane has a tool on it called a wind gauge where a crane operator can measure the wind speed, right?
Yes.
And so if we're trying to figure out whether or not the winds that day were at that cutoff point, somewhere between 25 and 30 miles per hour, you would expect a crane operator to look at the wind gauge to measure what the wind conditions are, right?
Yes.
And you know as a project manager that the wind conditions on the fourth floor could be significantly worse than on the ground floor, right?
I know that there could be differences. I don't know how much those differences are.
That's the crane operator's responsibility though, to know that and make the call, right?
Yes.
And that hazard was absolutely raised during the safety meeting, and the crane operator made the call to proceed, right?
Yes.
Did you come to find out afterwards that TNT's wind gauge was broken?
So, no, this was a pre-recorded interview. So someone is interviewing him. I don't know who. It could have been him, or I don't think it was him. I don't know, but it's a pre-recorded interview, and then we should see them on stand as well, answering questions about their interview and things like that.
I did not know it was broken.
Crane operator from TNT never told you that during the safety meeting, did he?
No.
He never said, hey, it's since we're all talking about wind, I want to let you know that the wind gauge on my crane is malfunctioning, and I have no way to determine what the wind speeds are. He never said anything like that, did he?
No,
Should have, should he?
I would have expected to hear this, yes.
Because if there was ever a time to talk about the fact that your wind tool and I mean, that wind gauge, that's a safety device that tells the operator about a very critical hazard during the lifting operation, right?
Yes,
If there was ever a time to tell folks that are in a safety meeting that your wind and safety device is broken, that would be the time to do it, right?
yes,
And if you had known during that safety meeting that, hey, we're all talking about how it's windy, it's a hazard, we're concerned that we may have to call off the lift, that would be the time for the operator to say something, right?
yes,
And if you had known that the crane operator's wind gauge was broken, you would have done something about it, right?
I would have furthered those conversations on what the proper steps are to address that hazard, yes.
You would have said, well, hang on a second, if you don't have the ability to figure out whether or not the winds are above that 25 to 35 miles per hour cutoff, we can't start this lifting operation at all. You would have said something along those lines, right?
Yes,
And as far as you know, nobody from TNT told you that their wind device was broken, right?
yes,
I mean, and they didn't tell you that when you all were gathered together discussing this wind hazard and whether or not the lift should be called off during the safety meeting, right?
correct,
That's a big deal, isn't it?
yes,
And so you and I have agreed that the crane operator, ultimately, it's his job to make the call as to whether or not call off the lift as a result of this wind hazard y'all were discussing, right?
yes,
Because you came to learn as a member of Wayne Mechanical's investigative team that the wind absolutely played a role in this unit falling over, right?
yes,
This was a hazard that was discussed at the beginning of the day, and you found out in investigating this matter that ultimately this unit flipped over in part due to wind. Is that fair?
yes,
Ultimately, the crane operator is supposed to make the call, and he didn't do anything, as far as you know, to determine whether or not the wind conditions out there posed a hazard that required the lift to be halted or called off altogether, right?
correct,
And he certainly didn't tell the folks in that safety meeting that his wind gauge, which is his safety device, was malfunctioning and wasn't working, right?
correct,
He withheld critical information that goes to the very heart of one of the most central hazards that killed this man, right? Sir,
correct.
that's something, if it had been addressed, you agree in hindsight, the entire lift should have been called off, right?
I think that would have been a conversation, to call the lift off, yes, but there could have been additional hazards to, or additional ways to figure out how to get that safety device, operational to then make the lift safe.
Because one of the things you learned afterwards is that the wind was so bad, it was actually rocking the unit, wasn't it?
Yes,
And if you got the wind at such a level that this massive this massive HVAC unit that weighs thousands and thousands of pounds, it's actually rocking, that's a problem, isn't it?
yes,
I mean, that is clear proof that you've got to halt the operation and figure out whether or not this hazard puts you in that 25 to 35 or 25 to 30 mile per hour threshold where you got to halt the lift, right?
yes,
Again, clear evidence of a hazard. And what I'm hearing from you is nobody did anything about it, right?
Yes,
I mean, even if we look at TNT's JSA that day, this is exhibit number 20. Have you seen their JSA?
I don't recall if I've seen it or not.
Show it to you. All right, can you see on screen?
Yes,
Maybe.
There's two JSAs that day. I'm gonna go to the second one where it talks about tasks to be performed, set the air handlers on the 4th floor. You see that?
yes,
And again, ultimately, it's the crane operator's job to figure out whether or not there's any hazards that should.
Joey swooping in with the wind. That's the exact word I was looking for. I couldn't find it. It sucks getting old. How often have we heard the word deposition every day? We hear it every day. I couldn't find it. Thank you, Joey.
Results in the parties pausing, halting, or pulling off the lift altogether, right?
yes,
And even these fellas point out this hazard on their JSA. You see that?
yes,
So if there's any suggestion in front of this jury that, oh, folks didn't know it was windy out there, or this wasn't a hazard folks knew about, you would say, no, we talked about it in the safety meeting. It's on the JSA. There were very clear conversations about this hazard, and ultimately it was the responsibility of the general contractor and the crane operator to decide whether or not this hazard was serious enough or we had to call this off, right?
correct.
I say we get rid of all safety inspectors. I say we go back to survival of the fittest.
This wasn't a call for David Lurie to make, was it?
Correct.
This was the call for the folks that were in management, or the folks that are actually specialized crane operators to figure out and make the call, right?
Correct.
Did you come to learn when you looked into this incident that this unit, when it flipped over, was only secured at 2 points?
Yes, security points.
It was.
We was a crane at the time, and I think the other 2 points were to be set on the skates.
Yeah, in other words, the unit, at least the front of the unit, had been set on skates, right?
Yes,
If we're talking about this unit being secured to the crane, you and I would agree that it was secured to the crane from 2 points, and there were 2 points that had been unhooked, right?
correct.
And there was an order that was given to cable up, right?
Demolition.
From my understanding, that's correct.
And while they were in the process of cabling up, there was a wind gust and the student fell over on this man, right?
Yes,
Let me ask you this, sir. Did you, when you looked into this incident, did you come to learn that you're not supposed to cable up on a load that's unsecured on 2 points?
yes,
I mean, in other words, if the lifting operation is still taking place, and you and I would agree that the lifting operation was not done on that 4th floor, it was still going on, right?
yes,
They were in the process of bringing that unit into the 4th floor, right?
yes,
And the unit was unhooked and unsecured on at least 2 points at the time this unit fell over on this man, right?
correct.
And yet there was an order that was given over TNT's radio to cable up. You learned that, right?
Yes,
And what you know from investigating this incident with your team is they never, ever should have given the order to cable up on a partially unsecured load, right?
yes,
That's one of the reasons this unit fell over on this man, right?
Yes.
And one of the things you learned afterwards is that the radio man that was employed by TNT gave an order to cable up. He never should have given that order because that load was unsecured, right?
Yes.
That's one of the reasons when the second and the third lift took place in October of 2021 and January of 2022. There was a decision made to have a specialty TNT rigging crew on site, and TNT would be responsible for the operation from A to Z, right?
Yes.
Because when you have a mixed crew that are performing a job, and some of those folks may or may not be certified, that presents a hazard, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And TNT's decision to radio down to the crane operator to cable up on an unsecured load absolutely played a role in this unit flipping over, right?
Yes.
If we had to point to two reasons why this incident happened, one of the hazards that was not appropriately addressed, that should have been addressed, is the wind issue, right?
Yes.
You agree with me that this entire lifting operation should have been called off for the reasons we discussed previously, right?
I think had the issues have been known ahead of time, we could have figured out ways to mitigate those risks, and because they were not known, we were not able to figure out ways to mitigate those risks.
When you say they weren't known, you and I would agree, everybody knew that wind was a potential hazard, right?
Yes.
When
Yeah,
you say
that's
not known, you mean that information was not shared with you from people that were responsible for making that call. They never shared with you that the wind gauge had malfunctioned, right?
Correct.
And they never shared with you that they didn't do their due diligence to determine whether or not the wind that was rocking this unit met the threshold to stop the lift, right?
Correct.
And based on what you learned afterwards, that hazard was not adequately addressed, right?
Correct.
And then the second main cause of this incident was the fact that an order was given to the TNT crane operator to cable up on an unsecured load, and that's a huge no-no, isn't it?
Yes.
Those are the two main reasons that you can think of as the project manager for Wade Mechanical and as a member of the investigative team. Those are the two main reasons this incident happened, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you just heard he's the project manager for Wade Mechanical or TNT. All right. There's the general contractor for this project, and then there's subcontractors for this project. The way he's answering these questions, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's saying they're leading questions, and he's just saying yes to them. We're going to hear from all of the people. Some of them are going to say there was no wind. Other people are going to say it was so windy that I was running around telling everybody how windy it was. We're going to hear experts saying, yeah, there was no wind that day, or the wind was earlier in the morning, or so we're going to hear all these different people. What we're looking at right now is not the crane operator, not the team, not the subcontractor that is qualified to deal with cranes. All right. I can't remember what Wade Mechanical was or TNT was, but they're not this guy is not dealing with the cranes.
There was a third, but lesser reason this incident happened. We talked about some shortcomings during the planning phase.
We're going to hear lots about those.
And the safety, right?
Yes.
But the two main reasons this unit fell over on this dear man was because it was too windy for the lift and and that unit was unsecured, and there was an order given to cable up on that unsecured load. Fair?
Yes,
I'm gonna show you let me show you two exhibits. First thing I'm gonna show you is by Marquez.
Yes,
Exhibit
ma'am, they do.
number 6. Okay, can you see these notes?
yes.
These are, it starts at base number way 565. Whose notes are these?
I am not sure.
Okay.
Stupid
What I was
graphic.
getting to is, are they your notes? They're not your notes, right?
That doesn't look like my handwriting.
Okay, you came back on when on September 22nd?
When I was notified of the incident, I was probably back on site within the next hour and a half.
Did you conduct some interviews of some of your folks? When I say your folks, I mean the Wave folks, figure out what happened?
Yes,
Well, what I'm hearing from you is you just don't recognize the handwriting in Exhibit 6, right?
I do not recognize the name.
There's a discussion here on Exhibit 6 down at 567. I'll see if you learned something about this that can help us, okay? We're looking at the bottom of the page. It talks about an interview with Anthony. And I assume that's Anthony Ramon.
Yes,
Did you speak with Anthony?
yes,
It says that well, let's read it together. I'm gonna do my best to blow it up here. It talks about, the rigging straps did not work. Or rigged with straps did not work. You see that? We're looking at exhibit number 6. And there's some language here that says rigged with straps did not work, sat back down. Do you see that language?
yes,
And then it talks about re-rigged and the unit sat correctly. Do you see that?
yes,
It says David yelled at TNT about rigging it the way they agreed to with chain falls. Do you see that?
yes.
What did you learn about this information and looking into this afterwards, if anything?
So what I learned is that the method of rigging that David intended to use to allow him to get the unit into the building on the 4th floor was not the way that it was rigged up by TNT down at the truck where the units were first hooked up to the crane.
But what you learned is consistent with what's here on this page, in that TNT did not rig it the way they were supposed to. The unit had to be sat back down and re-rigged, right?
Correct.
There's some discussion in these notes about the fact that the TNT guys seemed disorganized or weren't organized. Did you come to learn that?
Yeah.
What'd you learn about that?
We'll learn basically piggybacking off of Anthony's comments there is that plan was discussed and that plan was not executed in the first time, and they had to basically restart their operation because it was not being done the way that they had discussed prior.
This is exhibit number 11, starts on way 99. When you were out there that day, did you have the folks prepare witness statements, and the folks that were working for Way Engineering or Way Mechanical?
I did my best to get as many witness statements as I could.
And that was part of the investigative
Same.
process, the Way Mechanical investigative team undertook starting on the day of the incident.
Correct.
There are some discussions may have been, there are some discussions on 102. There's some.
I did forget to tell you, this is Harris County, Texas. So Judge Fleischer's building, this is like, this is the next building over. That's a good question. It happened a couple years ago, George. This happened on Texas A&M a couple years ago. They'll tell us when. I think 22. Do not quote me on that. They're going to say it a million times. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Is this your handwriting?
No, it is not.
Do you know whose handwriting this is?
I do not.
Did you and Fred interview Alexis Perez?
I did, which was that document you had previously, and I believe Fred had his own interview with him.
Okay, the document previously, you mean the statement right here on the first page?
Yes, sir.
Did you write this down or did you write this down?
I wrote that down for Alexis.
Okay, so this is your handwriting.
Mm.
And this is information that you learned from visiting with Alexis Perez shortly after this incident happened on the day it happened, right?
That is true.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And the crane was not top heavy. I mean, think about that. Can you guys just think about that? Of course, it wasn't top heavy. I mean, the crane at the top is just this little stick. It was side heavy. One side was heavier than the other.
Then there's additional notes here, you just don't recognize this handwriting, right?
Correct.
Oh, we have live
Says
weather
down
data.
here, there's a
We're going to get live weather data, and we're going to get live weather data from every level: first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, and higher.
discussion about, Billy kept saying it was too windy for this pit. Do you see that?
Yes,
Do you recall Billy complaining that it was too windy for the pit?
I do. I recall him stating that in the investigation that we did after the incident.
He relayed to you, hey, I've been complaining that it was way too windy for this pit. Is that what you learned? What did the crane operator say during that safety meeting, that pre-lift safety meeting?
I don't recall what you said either.
Everybody's trying to throw everybody under the bus here. Everybody's blaming everybody and the weather.
Now, let's go down and look at, you're ready to find it. Let's go down and look at way 123. See if I can get it. Is this your handwriting? Okay. This is
The star of the show is this guy right here. This guy's the star of the show. After watching enough of this trial, I have come to the conclusion that he just got his law degree yesterday out of a Cracker Jack box. You'll see.
figure out. This is information that was learned from Mr. Montalongo. You see that?
Yes,
He's another fellow that was injured as a result of this incident, right?
yes,
This is
He's an employee of Wade
Civil
Wade
case.
Mechanic, right?
yes,
Is he still an employee for Wade Mechanical?
yes.
there's a discussion here on, let's see, that the wind started to pick up. Let me see if I can find it here. Um, find it here. Nope. It says, while waiting on the crane, a discussion was had about the fact that it was windy. We thought the job was going to be canceled because the wind, because the crane, because the crane was not set up. I can't make word that. Do you know what that last part says?
I had trouble understanding, what the meaning is behind that sentence.
Okay, tell me what you recall about this discussion, if any, about the fact that the job was going to be canceled because of the wind. Do you recall it reaching that level?
I don't recall it reaching that level.
Did you come to learn that as bad as it was in the morning, the wind actually picked up after lunch?
Yes,
Okay. Did you learn that from visiting with the crew members, when you were interviewing them shortly after this incident happened?
yes,
So there was a discussion, we're trying to figure out how bad this wind hazard was. There was a discussion while you were still on site in the morning that, hey, the wind's an issue, and there was a discussion as to whether or not to call it off or proceed. Fair?
I don't recall the conversation of whether or not the lift was going to be called off or proceeded. But I do remember the conversation about wind and whether or not it was, going to play a factor in that operation of the day.
Okay. And so this wasn't a situation where like a road.
Ginny. Debbie. Terry. I can't believe Cochran hasn't asked about the wind yet.
We came over here and just blew this thing over. This was a hazard that the parties had been considering since the morning when the safety meeting took place, right?
Yes,
And what you learned in investigating this incident, that not only was it a hazard in the morning, after lunchtime, it got worse, right?
yes,
And at that point, the obligation is still on the crane operator to make the call as to whether or not the lift should be called off or proceed, right?
yes,
If there are discussions by crew members that are happening both in the morning and after lunch, and it's known that the wind has gotten worse, not better, is it your opinion as the project manager on this job that the job should have been halted until there was a determination as to whether or not it was safe to proceed?
yes,
That obligation, you would say, was on the crane operator, right?
yes,
Your investigation has led you to believe that he failed in that obligation, right? The last thing I'm gonna point out is that we'll go down to same page number, or same exhibit, or on exhibit number 11. We're gonna go down to base number 125. And let's see. There is a discussion here starting on they didn't. Do you see that? And let me go up first and just preface this. Let's figure out who we're talking about, okay? We're still talking about Mr. Montalongo, his statement. Do you see that?
yes,
And he provides the observation that he didn't trust those crane guys. Do you see that?
I see that, yes.
Tell me what you recall learning about that.
My recollection was the trust that they were not rigging the units up for the pre-lift meeting plan and
So are you allowed to just continually ask leading questions during a deposition? Is that how all depositions go? Because the lawyer has been talking almost the whole time, and the guy's just agreeing with him. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that checks out. Yep.
um, were concerned when they saw the unit wobbling in the air.
In other words, after this incident happened, he said, look, there were hazards that were present all along the way. And those crane guys should have acted and they didn't do that, right?
Correct.
Another way to describe their conduct really throughout this entire day in operation is sloppy, right?
Yes.
They were sloppy from the minute they got onto the job until their unit that they were leading fell over on this man, weren't they?
They had some levels of competency, but yes, there was some organization there that was concerning.
They were sloppy in the way they rigged up this unit, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were sloppy in the way they responded to hazards, right?
Yes.
Hazards that they even identified on their own JSA, right?
Yes.
The fact that this unit was top heavy, unstable, and flipped over the prior day, right?
Yes.
They were sloppy in the way that they handled this wind issue that was present in the morning and picked up after lunch, right?
Yes.
And ultimately, there are some additional criticisms that Mr. Montalago raises about the sloppiness in terms of the way that this radio guy was radioing down to the crane operator, right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
There were criticisms about that were launched by Mr. Montalago towards the radio man and the way in which he was communicating
but they're
and
not my
conducting
favorite
himself
either.
up on the fourth floor, right?
Yes.
Specifically, he was, let's see what it says. And while doing the operations, the guy with the radio, that's TNT's guy, right?
Right.
Instead of being in a place to see everything, he was behind an I-beam. Do you see that?
Yes.
In other words, when you're operating as a radio man, you're the signal guy up there on the fourth floor, right?
Yes.
It's your obligation to communicate with the operator down in the crane cab, right?
The radio guy, yes.
It's your obligation as the radio man to communicate hazards that the radio man or the signal person sees up on the fourth floor, right?
Yes, yes.
I think this is a video of the accident. You can't see you can't see anybody. You can't see any humans that I can see. I think this is a video of the accident, but I am not 100% sure. Oh, it's raining. No, it's not raining. That's my cats. It's real short. It was in the afternoon. I know that. It was not in the morning. This is the crane. This may or may not be it. And I left the sound out. There's the crane that fell over there. There's not much more. But I could be wrong. That's just what I found earlier today when I was looking at YouTube.
Guys, I know that you're rocking back and forth because of the wind. That's a hazard that the radio man has to communicate now with the crane operator, the cap, right?
Yes.
If some fellas up there that are pipe fitters unhook two sides of the unit.
No, I mean, so he's supposed to say things like, do you know of any issues that were talked about before before during the day's meeting, and then he could say, yeah, the wind was an issue. Not the wind was an issue, wasn't it? That's just there's only one answer to that question.
You absolutely have to communicate that to the crane operator down there, right?
Yes,
You absolutely cannot tell that crane operator to cable up on an unsecured load, right?
yes,
If you've got folks that are pipe fitters that are inside the danger zone, right up next to a load that's top heavy, unstable, and had flipped over the prior day, you have an obligation to communicate that hazard as the radio man and signal person down to the crane operator in the cab, right?
yes,
And ultimately, you have an obligation as a signal person and radio operator to make sure you put yourself in a place where you can see what's going on, right?
yes.
What you learned from your
That's leading.
Mr. Montalon.
Were there any issues? Is what they can say. They can't put words in his mouth.
Who works the way I can, is that this radio operator was sloppy in all those regards, wasn't he?
Yes,
And he failed to address those hazards with the crane operator down the cab, right?
yes.
And he should have, right?
Shut up,
I
Micah.
would say he
No.
should have, yes,
And his failure to communicate those hazards to the crane operator absolutely played a part in the incident that happened that took the life of David Reed, right?
I would agree with that.
Mr. Hemley, my name is Susan Wilson and I represent TNT. I have a tendency to talk fast, so if I get a little too fast, please tell me to slow down. If you don't understand one of the questions I ask, please ask me to go ahead and rephrase it, okay?
Okay.
Let's try it one more time, sir. Okay? Listen to my question, please. From the time that unit left the ground until it made its way into the 4th floor where it was placed on skates, there was no problem with that lift. Was there?
I would say problems with lifting would include unstableness of rigging and any unstableness of rigging.
What did the rigging have to do with this unit tumbling over? It wasn't improperly rigged at the ground level, was it, Mr. Hamlin?
From witness statements, I would contest that.
So as you sit here today, you do not know whether there is any requirement that any crane, especially the one at the job site on September 22nd, 2021, had an anemometer within it. Do you? You just don't know.
I know that it's standard practice for cranes to come with that.
How do you know that?
Every crane pick that I've dealt with has discussed wind speeds as being a variable, and cranes having devices on it to own that.
Do you know how many of those actually have wind gauges on the cranes themselves?
The one job that I'm currently on has a wind gauge on
Did you ever voice any concerns to anyone from TNT that it was too windy to do this job?
it. I recall conversations about wind and whether or not
What a
it
good
was
question. Michael,
an
are you?
acceptable level to proceed with.
Now, you testified earlier today in response to Mr. Bergen's questions, and you referred on a number of times, or you agreed with Mr. Bergen that TNT's actions on the date of the incident were sloppy. Do you recall that testimony? And that was the word, sloppy. I wrote it down, okay, sloppy. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay, tell me, how was TNT sloppy? What did they do that you would agree with the word sloppy?
Their ability to set up a crane in a timely manner, to, have a plan put in place and then not follow that plan. And,
The crane fell.
that's my
No, we
interpretation.
haven't gotten to live yet.
That's sloppy.
You see this monitor on, it's a pretty good guess that we're not hearing live testimony. And where the hell did the attorney go? He's gone. Oh no, there he is. Never mind. It's okay.
I mean, the whole idea that a sophisticated crane company came out to the site and would let a bunch of pipe fitters unrig a load and then put one of their certified riggers up there to do nothing about it, that doesn't make sense to you, does it?
No,
But no mistake about it, sir. As a man that's been a project manager for the better part of a decade, you would agree with me that on a lifting operation, the person that is ultimately in charge of that lifting operation is the crane operator. True?
true.
When it comes to safety, the person that is ultimately in charge of safety on a lifting operation, that's the crane operator. True?
Yes.
In determining whether or not the plan that's put in place to rig up and unrig the load was safe or not, that decision ultimately falls on the crane operator, does it not?
I would say that they have the largest majority, of that responsibility.
So while there are 3 companies that were collaborating on various aspects of this job, you would say under oath, ultimately, if there's a call that has to be made regarding safety and the rigging up, the lifting up, and the unrigging of the job, the crane operator has the ultimate say, right?
I would say, yes, he has the, largest responsibility in that, determination.
And then there was a discussion about whether or not it was possible to float this unit into the side of the building without unhooking the unit on 2 sides. Do you recall that?
Yes.
But that's not really the hazard that we discussed earlier, is it?
We discussed earlier, wind and unstableness in the rigging.
He discussed clear evidence that the wind was so bad it was rocking the unit, right? Do you remember that?
Yes.
The unsafe
I don't know, Mr. Attorney. You were the one who said it.
part about unhooking of the unit wasn't that it was unhooked at all. It's that there was an order to
How are you
cable
feeling,
up
Chris?
on
Does it still
secured
hurt?
load that was rocking in the wind, right?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. The unsafe part of his job was that the unit was unhooked. And then an order was given by TNT's signal man over the radio to cable up. When there is evidence in this case that the wind was blowing so bad it was rocking the unit, right?
Yes, yes.
No.
That's the unsafe part of the job, right?
That would be a lie,
Yeah,
but
very
a lie.
unsafe work.
And then you have 2 fellas that are pipe fitters standing right next to a unit that's unsecured and is rocking in the wind. And that's flat out dangerous.
That's okay. So the man who died was a pipe fitter for a different crew completely. I can't remember the name of his company, but there was a man who lost his arm and a man who died. They were pipe fitters, and they technically weren't supposed to be in the area that they were. But in a construction site, the work has to get done. So when you do a lift, it's supposed to be cleared of all other workers. When you're doing this lift, that when the crane does this lift, but the pipe fitters had work to do. So they stayed in the area where technically they weren't supposed to still be, but people were still there working anyway, even though they weren't supposed to be.
Disney.
Yes.
This radio man who's in charge of overseeing the unlighting of this unit on the fourth floor absolutely should not have given the order to the TNT crane operator to cable up under those circumstances, right?
I believe that
Oh my God.
communication channel to, the fourth floor rigger and the crane operator.
Your investigation, as a member of the investigation team, you and I agreed earlier that was unsafe and that order never should have been given under those circumstances. Is that fair?
Yes, we agreed on that.
That concludes our clip, Your Honor.
Let's take a break for the jury.
All right.
Absolutely not. No one's blaming the pipe fitters for being there. They shouldn't have been there, but no one's blaming them. Maybe a little bit, but no. I didn't edit this video at all, guys, so we're going to edit it on the fly. Wait, is he talking? Hold on. I got to go back. We have to see if he's talking because he's unskilled. What we're looking for now is if this guy goes up to the judge and starts talking, and if she leaves them the mic on when he does, which she does constantly. Hey, Morgan.
Is Miss Volandos available? Could someone grab her? I just want to see where she is on her alterations or changes. Everyone else can be seated. I'm just standing just because I've been sitting for a little bit.
Yo, that's how I was during stream yesterday. OJ stream almost killed me sitting in this damn chair. Who walks up to the judge? Come on.
What's wrong, Mr. Carlos?
Ow, it's someone boring.
I didn't see it flash, but the
That's like, I knew I'd seen that kind of, yeah.
what?
Okay. What's your name, sir? Manuel Antonio Rivera Jr. Who do you work for? TNT Crane and Rigging. How long have you worked for them? 10 years. What do you do for them? I'm the crane and rigging superintendent. Crane and rigging superintendent? Yes, sir. What, in that capacity, what are your job tasks? So I do run cranes still. I'm in charge of the guys on the hydraulic crane side and the drivers. I evaluate them. I do training. I sign guys off on equipment. I have multiple things that I do. You say you sign guys off on equipment. Tell me what you mean. When they're moving up or they're getting a different piece of equipment that they haven't ran before or that they've been training on. Once I see that they're proficient, I evaluate them on a job and then I sign them off for that specific crane. So in order for and when you sign somebody off for a crane, for that specific crane, what does that signify? Their competence to run the crane. So you go out to job sites and observe
crane operators and then sign them off?
I do,
And were you doing that on September 22nd, 2021?
yes,
Who were you doing that with?
Ben Tinkle,
And what type of crane were you signing him off on?
Link Belt, 140 ton.
Had you observed him working on or operating that particular crane before?
Yes,
And why were you signing him off, if you will, at that particular job site?
because I just don't go out one time. Any of my posters.
Did you have any other role at that job site?
So I am a supervisor, so I, while the crane is operating, while the guys are hooking up the loads, I'm observing just to see if I catch anything wrong or anything like that.
You are a supervisor, correct?
That is correct.
You were on the job site, correct?
That is correct.
You were observing Ben run the crane, true?
Yes.
What role, if any, did you have in the lift plan that's performed or created?
No.
Did you ever look at it?
Yes, I looked at it.
When did you look at it?
Well, I looked at all the paperwork.
So you look, and tell us what a lift plan is.
We get the weights and radiuses and everything from the customer. We fill out what we're picking, what kind of boom we're running out, what kind of weights, what we're good for at that weight and radius. It just gives you all the rigging that's being used. It's just a summary of what the job entails.
And is this a written document?
Yes,
Does the document include the particular crane operator's name who's involved?
yes,
Does it include copies of his or her certification?
no,
Who creates the lift plan?
crane operators.
So the lift plan, and who is the lift plan provided to?
It is for our documents. If the customer needs a copy, we give them a copy, but most of the time it's just for our paperwork, for TNT.
Okay. And was there in fact a lift plan for the lift that was taking place where Mr. Glory was killed?
Yes,
Have you reviewed the lift plan?
yes,
Do you see on the screen an email that was, and I'm focused on the one at the bottom, sent Friday, September 17th, 2021 at 8:43 p.m.
yes,
And it says subject rigging plan for 9/22/21. See that?
yes.
Now, is there a difference between a rigging plan and a lift plan?
So rigging plans usually given to us by the customer, and this is telling us how the unit should be rigged.
So your testimony would be a rigging plan is typically prepared by the customer,
Or the manufacturer of the units that we're picking up.
and you distinguish between a rigging plan and a lift plan.
Yes,
They're two different things.
yes,
In a rigging plan, do they typically have drawings such as the one we see on the screen?
sometimes they do, yeah.
And would this be part of a rigging plan or a lift plan?
Sir, I didn't make this document, so I don't know.
If the answer is you don't know, just say that.
Okay, I just did.
You see the words 3D lift plan at the top.
Yes,
Who created this document?
I don't know who created that document.
You see the words TNT at the bottom, or the letters TNT.
Yes,
So somebody at TNT that creates
Takes very delicate fingers, Michael.
documents such as this lift plan.
so this would probably have been created from the salesman. They don't always, customers sometimes require it. A lot of times they don't. So
Didn't ask any of that. I asked whether this is created by TNT.
I don't know.
Does it say TNT at the bottom?
Yes, it does.
You know who Brian Duche is?
Yes,
Who is it?
you're also,
So he's a TNT employee, true?
yes,
Does it say drawn by Brian Duche?
yes,
Can we conclude that this is created by TNT?
Yes,
Okay, does it say lift plan at the top?
yes,
Is this a lift plan?
yes,
Okay. This was provided from TNT to the customer, true?
yes,
But that's not the lift plan they used, guys. There are more than one.
So we've seen in the documents in front of us, which are attached to your deposition now as exhibit 15, some information about the crane, and now we see a drawing created by somebody from TNT that they call a lift plan, right?
yes.
Okay. Next page. Here's another picture, 3D lift plan showing the crane further boomed out and moved to the right. See that?
Yes,
And again, created by TNT, this individual, Brian Duche, right?
yes,
And we can see that it was created, or at least drawn, according to the document, on September 17th, 2021, right?
yes.
That's 4 days before this man was killed, is that right?
That's 4 days before the incident, yes.
Yeah. They didn't say they killed the man, right?
He can't answer that.
Yes,
We see here that Wade Mechanical is sending to Burn Construction a rigging plan, right? On Friday, September 17th, 2021, 8:43 PM. You see it?
I'm trying to read, sir.
I can't read when there's noise,
You see
sir.
the date?
I do,
Okay, is it September 17, 2021 at 8:43 PM?
yes,
That's just when this was sent to Burn Construction from Wade Mechanical, right?
yes,
Okay, and we know that it was sent now from the drawing, go back to Wade 138, on the very same day that it was drawn by TNT. Right?
yes.
Were you about to say it's the wrong lift plan?
For the job that we did,
I
we did.
said it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
right lift
Yes,
plan.
yes,
I said that.
Oh, that's a problem, isn't it?
No, it's not a
That would be
problem.
a big problem for TNT, wouldn't it?
no,
So let's go back, let's make sure we're clear. Your testimony is, it sounds like that the lift plan created by TNT on September 17th, 2021, drawn by Brian Duche, was not actually the lift plan used when Mr. Lewis was killed, is that right?
Yeah, because that was drawn 4 days before the lift. Things changed. So they changed the lift plan. That's normal.
I don't know, sir. My operator made a little plan.
Help me understand, you had something you wanted to say, you said it wasn't the right lift plan, is that right?
My operator made the right lift plan. That's required.
What is, this is a lift plan provided by TNT on the very day it was requested from what?
That sounds to me like it's a little too convenient. That sounds like a disorder that's just a little bit too convenient. Sort of like that other disorder where I'll go blind if you don't.
Wade Mechanical then turned around and gave it to the general contractor. You understand that?
I do.
It was the wrong one, wasn't it?
Sir, you have to ask Brian. I don't know their discussion that they had between each other. So this is a Brian comment.
Is this the lift plan that was being used when Mr. Laurie was killed?
No, the lift plan that was being used
Okay.
was the lift plan my operator wrote out.
So we're
This is a good time to break. I don't mean stop. I mean take a small break. Victoria, we have to get into gear, Victoria. Victoria, I know you have to get ready for work, but we need you for a second. We want to get Judge Fleischer a billboard for his reelection campaign in 2026. We have $400 so far. Well, actually, we have a little bit more. I just don't know what the pledge is for the other person. So I think we should let him design the billboard. And I would like, if anybody minds, you have to tell me, because I would like Judge Fleischer and Juanita to both be on the billboard. You know, both sides, because well, she's drop dead gorgeous, so she'll avert the eyes to the billboard, and then there will be Judge Fleischer. It'll be a tag team. So I think I need to talk to Judge Fleischer about how he would prefer any of this to happen, and we want to make sure everything is absolutely legal. What we're doing, and we don't want to put the judge in any 900. Then 900 plus a little something that I don't know yet. So we're halfway there. We're halfway to a billboard, Victoria. Just don't know how to do it. We just don't know how to do it. So maybe when you get to work, if you talk to him today, and maybe if you see Juanita, if you guys have to tell me if I got Judge and Juanita, that's what we're thinking about. Okay, that's what I'm thinking about. So actually, Victoria, the judge has my number. If he doesn't, if it's not still on his phone, just give it to him. And I just need to know how to go about it, what he wants me to do. We could just give him the cash and then he can go buy the billboard or we can buy the billboard, but we don't want to design it and get him in trouble. We don't want him in trouble at all. We don't have any money yet. These are just pledges. So nobody has given a penny out of their pocket towards anything yet. People have just said, okay, I'm going to give this much. Fuzzy in the middle. So yeah, we ain't giving you the money. Listen, guys, don't give Victoria the money. I'm not gonna tell you what she would do with the money. She would buy Judge Fleischer bobbleheads with the money. All right, back to work. Foot. Oh, her dainty little foot. Oh man, her dainty little foot scares me though. Victoria's foot. Fine, give her all your money. Give her your lunch money, guys. Hurry up, hurry up.
Your testimony, I see, Crane and Reading. Try to get you the title right. Superintendent is the lift plan that we see on the screen, created on September 17th, 2021, was not the lift plan being used when Mr. Laurie was killed. Is that right?
That's correct.
But attached to this plan, sir, are documents created by this Mr. Duchesne, created on the very day this email was sent. Do you not understand that?
I do.
Okay. What you're telling us is that even though Mr. Duchesne prepared these drawings, according to the documents, go back to way 138. Even though Mr. Duchesne, just sounds
Yeah,
you described, prepared these documents, go to the top of the document at 3:41 p.m., about 5 hours before the email was sent to Burn Construction. That your testimony is this is not the actual lift plan that was being employed on the day that Mr. Laurie was crushed and ultimately killed. Is that right?
That's not the lift plan my operator used.
Can you explain why then somebody from TNT would provide this lift plan to its customer at its request for the work being done on the 22nd of September, 2021?
No.
Okay. And you're the superintendent, is that right?
Yes, I'm not a salesman.
Right. Let's go to the next page, please. Page 139. When a lift plan is requested by the customer, is there typically a drawing included?
You'd have to ask the salesman.
Or are you not the rigging and crane superintendent?
By the way, Victoria, if you can still hear me, I know you're getting ready for work. You don't have to reply. This is Judge Erica Hughes. in the civil building. I don't know if you ever get to see her because she's in the civil building.
I am.
Do you not know what's included in lift plans?
I do.
Is it typically a drawing?
I'm not the salesman, sir. I do a lift plan on paper. That's what our operator is required to do.
Go back down
Yes.
one, please.
It is required either. This is through the customer and salesman. This is nothing to do with me.
So you're saying this is just, this paper, isn't it?
It's
That's a piece of paper, is it not?
It is a piece of paper.
Okay. Let's go scroll back to 139. What role did James Cunningham have in the job being done on September 22nd, 2021?
I do not know.
Who is James Cunningham?
He is an operator.
Operator for who?
TNT.
So TNT took a picture or scan of Mr. Cunningham's certification. See that?
I did.
And provided it to its customer. Did you know that?
I didn't. I do not know that. I'm not part of that.
You know it now, don't you?
I did.
Can you help us understand why TNT would provide qualifications of Mr. Cunningham, even though he wasn't involved in the project whatsoever?
Not my job, sir.
I didn't ask that. Can you give me an explanation?
No,
Were you at the job site?
I was.
Was he at the job site?
No,
Was he running the crane at the job site?
no,
You didn't see him at the job site.
no.
You don't know why his certification card was provided to the customer to be doing work at that job site on that day.
No,
Okay. Next page. You tell me what this document is.
really hard to read.
You see the name James Cunningham on the document.
That I do.
You see that it's a medical certificate.
Yes,
Does TNT typically provide these types of documents to the customer when requested?
not in my job scope.
Do you know or not?
No,
You have no idea.
not in my job scope, sir.
Can you explain why James Cunningham's medical certificate was provided to Wade Mechanical for work that was supposed to happen on September 22nd, 2021?
No,
Who is Charles Street?
crane operator for TNT.
Was he involved in the job on September 22nd, 2021?
I don't know.
Was he at the job site when you were there?
No,
Did you see him operating a crane?
no.
How many cranes did TNT have on that job site?
One,
Who was operating that crane?
Ben Kinkle.
Was Charles Street operating that crane?
No,
Did you see Charles Street that day?
no.
Can you explain why Charles Street's information would be provided to TNT or to Wade Mechanical for work to be done that day?
No,
Who was Brian Sternberg?
crane operator, TNT.
Was he on the job site that day?
No,
Did you see him operating the crane that day?
no,
Was he on the job site that day? No. Did you see him operating the crane? Why don't you think about your questions before you ask them?
Any idea why TNT would provide his certification card to Wade Mechanical for work to be performed that day?
no.
How many people did TNT have on the job site at or around the time that Mr. Gorey was crushed?
I don't remember.
Just so you know, this lift that happened was supposed to happen, I think 12 or 14 days before it actually happened. So you're not going to believe this, but the dates changed during the job site because, there were delays in the job, which never, ever happened on a construction site. So these people, they ordered a crane. I think it was a 120-ton crane. Well, there wasn't a 120-ton crane available 14 days later when they moved it. So the people that they sent as crane operators, and they sent their certificates, and they sent all this stuff over, were the people who were going to do the lift 12 days prior on a 120-pound ton crane. Well, 14 days pass, then they can do the lift. Well, now they have to use a completely different crane, because the 120-ton crane is on another job site by now. I mean, it's already been rented out. So, of course, they got a 160-ton crane, which means they need a different crane operator with a different certification level. So this lawyer is saying, why are they sending, the information? Because they had to. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with them sending the the certifications for Brian and Steve, because who knows who's going to be operating the crane, because we don't know when the lift is going to be, because there was delays in the construction. And happy birthday, CJ.
You already mentioned Ben Kinkle, correct?
Yes,
Do you remember a man named Juan Garcia?
yes,
Who was he?
he's a regular driver for TNT,
Where was he located when Mr. Glory was crushed?
up there with them.
What floor?
I believe fourth floor, if I remember correctly.
What were the wind conditions on the fourth floor?
No wind, sir.
I'm sorry,
I did not, it wasn't windy.
you don't know?
I said it wasn't windy.
It wasn't windy at all that day? That's your testimony?
That is my testimony.
Your testimony is Tommy Busby. I'm under oath, and it wasn't windy at all that day. Is that your testimony?
I don't remember the wind that day. It was not windy. It wasn't very windy.
Exhibit 1, please. You realize there were pictures taken almost immediately once this air handler fell over and crushed Mr. Lori.
Yeah.
Don't you see in that picture how windy it is? You say it's not windy? Don't you know we have pictures? See? Everybody see the wind in that picture?
Okay. Well, ask you about what time of day did that happen?
1:30, 2 o'clock, maybe.
Somewhere between 1 and 2?
I believe so.
Okay. Let's go look at exhibit 1. Let's go over to the date stamp 1182. Make that large so this witness can see it.
It looks like another picture of wind to me, guys.
The day this man was crushed is September 22nd, 2021, correct?
Yes.
Tell us, based on the chart we see on the screen, what was the windiest part of that day? Do you see it?
I do.
What was the windiest part of the day?
2 o'clock.
Between 1 and 2, correct?
that would be incorrect. I don't know where this guy's getting his numbers from, but they're lies. Well, actually, that's not fair. I do actually know where he got his numbers from, and he's an idiot.
Go to the chart.
Do you see there on the wind summary that we highlighted for you, the high value for wind that day and the time?
It's 26 miles per hour,
At what time? What time?
2 p.m.
You know what the wind was at the fourth floor at that same time period?
I know.
Is there something in the crane that lets the crane operator know how windy it is?
There is
What's it called?
anemometer.
Did the crane that you were certifying or signing off in on that particular day have one of those contraptions?
Yes.
Did it work?
I don't know.
Well, if it doesn't work, what's the crane operator supposed to do?
That anemometer is included.
Didn't ask that. If it doesn't work, what is the crane operator supposed to do? Did this particular crane, the one that Ben was operating and you were signing him off on, did it have one of those devices on it?
Yes.
What's the purpose of it?
Wind speed.
To let the crane operator know what the wind speed is?
Yes.
Why would the crane operator need to know what the wind speed is?
The crane has a chart, a wind chart.
Okay, I hear that, but why would the crane operator need to know what the wind speed is?
So he knows when to shut the job down if it's too windy.
Oh, so if it gets too windy, you need to shut the job down as the crane operator?
According to the low chart.
So there are conditions that exist when it's too windy to operate a crane?
According to the low chart, yes.
And so to know that, do you need the anemometer?
All right, spoiler alert. I got to tell you I'm not going to tell you where the numbers came from, but I'm going to tell you kind of where the numbers came from. So just so you know, I think somewhere in Mexico, I'm not sure exactly where, but it's far away from Texas. There is a city with the exact same name as the city the Texas A&M resides in. That's all I'll say.
Fair enough, fair enough.
To know the exact wind speed?
Yes.
Yes.
And did Ben report to you that you were signing him off, that his anemometer wasn't working?
No.
Is that something you would expect him to tell you?
No. No.
Did you ever learn after the fact that the anemometer on that particular crane wasn't working?
Yes.
How did you find that out?
Then
When did he tell you?
I can't remember.
Did he tell you before Mr. Murray was killed?
No.
Did he tell you after?
Yeah.
And tell me about that discussion.
I don't remember the whole conversation.
Well, tell me some of it. Tell me what you remember.
This is maybe a year later. It came out that the anemometer wasn't working.
A year later, you found out.
Yeah.
How did you find out?
From that,
Who was Mario Ramirez?
I really found,
A rigging foreman?
yes,
What is his job?
he's in charge of rigging.
What was his job on the day that Mr. Laurie was crushed?
Make sure that the unit was rigged properly.
Did he do that?
Absolutely.
You saw him do it?
Yes.
You there when he did it?
Yes.
Tell me what you were doing when this air handler fell over and crushed Mr. Laurie. What were you doing?
I was leaving
Where were you going?
to my next job.
Where was that?
I don't remember.
Did you have multiple jobs you had to do that day?
No, I picked my own jobs.
Pick your own jobs. You don't have a boss.
Yeah, I have a boss,
Who's your boss?
Johnny Johnson,
Who is Johnny Johnson?
my boss,
What's his job title, sir?
branch manager.
Branch manager?
Yes,
And how many crane and rigging superintendents are there at TNT?
2.
Did you watch the crane be moved around and put in place so that this lift could be done?
Yes,
You were there to watch that?
yes.
Did you have any involvement in that?
No,
Did you participate in the JSA for that evolution?
I did.
Okay, so who ran that JSA?
Ben King,
And the crane was being moved from where to where?
the crane. It was being built on the job. It was being moved. I mean, right there in the vicinity.
And so the crane, when you say is being built, what does that mean?
It was being rigged up.
And before it was rigged up, there was a JSA,
Yes,
you participated in it.
yes.
Exhibit 13, please. Take a look at the first page of exhibit 13. Is this a safety analysis
Yes.
So this is a process that you personally participated in?
Well, I didn't participate in the process. I just was in the vicinity observing the operator. So I signed off on the JSA, yes.
You didn't sign off on it, did you not?
I did.
Okay. Says AD supervisor, is that your name there?
That is my name, but I am not the AD supervisor.
Well, is this your handwriting?
No,
Somebody wrote your name in there, but it's wrong,
yes,
and it says supervisor, is that you? It says Manning supervisor,
yes,
is that correct?
that is not correct.
That's not right either.
No,
It says the signal person, the spotter, and the rigger is one. Is that right?
yes,
That's correct information.
yes.
So the purpose of this job safety analysis is what specifically?
It lists the steps of the tasks that we're doing, the hazards and the way we mitigate the hazards, the possible hazards.
Move train to job site. I said it 4 times. My question is this JSA that we have on our screen, is that one of the job steps?
That's one of the job steps that he listed, yes,
Okay. You said you weren't involved, but you observed this, right?
yes.
My question is, from where was the crane moved? From what point to what point? According to, what is being described here? Where was the crane being moved from and to?
I don't know what his thought process was with writing that, sir.
Okay, so it doesn't make any damn sense, does it?
I don't know his thought process.
Well, this is a guy that you're supposed to be supervising, right?
Yes,
This is a guy that you participated in a JSA with, right?
yes,
They even have your name listed at the bottom as a participant. Did you not know that?
I did know.
Okay, but you didn't sign it.
Yeah, I did, about, of the JSA.
You signed it as a participant, right? Right here.
Sir, if we're around the equipment, then we sign on the JSA.
Well, I
That
thought
was
you
it.
signed on the JSA, it signifies that you participated in the JSA. Is that right or not?
Yes, in the
Did
JSA,
you participate in the JSA?
yes.
Then tell me what it means that it says move crane to job site. If you participated in the JSA.
You gotta take the crane to the job site.
Okay, did you participate in that evolution?
No,
Okay, then why the devil is it written there?
you'd have to ask Ben.
I'm trying to figure out, you claim that you are a superintendent, that you participated in a JSA, and you even signed the JSA, and I'm asking you a very simple question about the JSA, one of the job tasks, that says, move crane to job site. Your testimony is that involves, that the crane was already at the job site when you got there, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Okay, then why would you have here move crane to job site?
You have to ask Ben.
Okay, so you don't have any idea.
You have to ask Ben.
You have no clue.
You have to ask Ben.
You just signed it, right?
Is there a question there?
You just signed it without knowing what he meant. Is that right?
I signed it, it's a regular JSA. Is that the only step that you're concentrating on?
Did you participate in the actual evolution when they were setting the air hammers up on the 4th floor?
No,
Did you participate in the JSA?
no,
Did you see them do a JSA?
yes,
Where were you when they did it?
by the crane,
Where did they do it?
on the other side of the crane.
You were on one side of the crane and they were on the other side,
That's correct.
but you didn't sign that JSA
No,
because you weren't involved in it?
I was not going to be involved in the process of that.
Was Mario involved in that JSA?
Yes,
Scroll to the bottom, please. Did he sign the JSA?
I don't know.
You see his signature?
So I can't read any of those signatures.
Who was the AD supervisor?
I have no idea.
Who was supposed to be the AD supervisor for this safety analysis and this job?
There is no AD supervisor.
You see the blank AD supervisor?
There's somebody sitting there.
That's Ben's name. Was he the AD supervisor?
No,
He was not. What is the AD supervisor? What does that signify?
the assemble and disassemble the crane.
He was not the disassembly supervisor,
The crane was already assembled.
so his name shouldn't be there.
It should be blank.
Should be blank. All right?
Yes,
Were you aware that one of the air handlers being moved was top-headed?
yes.
How did you become aware of that?
It fell in our yard.
Were you there when that happened?
No,
How did you learn about it?
from our end.
When did he tell you that?
The day we made the lift.
Before Mr. Laurie was crushed or after?
Before.
Tell me the circumstances under which he told you that.
He told me part of the JSA, during the JSA, that he discussed with them that the unit fell in our yard, and he explained to them that it was top heavy.
Tell me that he told you before Mr. Laurie was killed,
That's a lie.
Yes,
that he had told them in the JSA that the unit was top-heavy.
yes,
The JSA that his name doesn't appear as a signature. See that?
it's under rigor, but yes,
You see where he signed it?
I don't see.
Okay. He already admitted he didn't sign this. He signed the wrong one. Did you know that?
No,
Let's go up to the steps to complete the task. See where it says hazards associated with the task?
yes,
You see anywhere where it says that
So they do this checklist and they do a JSA and before they do the work. Okay. It's normal. Everybody does it. It's a normal thing to do. And what they do is they list everything in this assessment that could go wrong and what, how they're going to take care of it. What could possibly happen. So the lawyer takes this JSA and uses that as, oh, so you knew this was going to happen. So let's say I'm going to mow my lawn and I'm going to do a JSA before I mow my lawn. And I could put in there, bee sting. Might be a hazard because I'm outside. I might get stung by a bee. I put that in there because I put everything in there that might possibly happen so that I can prepare for it. So I go out, I have my JSA, I put bee sting in there, I put get hit on the head with a newspaper from the paper boy. I put, a plane engine falling from the sky and hitting me. That doesn't mean that I know that I'm going to get stung by a bee and I should never mow my lawn because I knew ahead of time that I was going to get stung by a bee. So, that I should not have mowed my lawn. So they put in there, I can't remember, like crane nut strapped or something like that. And they put all these things in there. And then the lawyer is trying to use that to say, oh, so you knew all this was going to happen.
This particular, or one of the particular air handlers is 4,000 pounds and it's top heavy and it's fallen over at least once.
It's not top
I
heavy.
just
It's
see
not.
closing.
Your testimony is that Mario told you that he fully explained this to everybody during the JSA.
Yes, but he's not the only one that told me that.
But who else told you that?
Both Ben and Juan.
Ben and Juan and Mario
Yes,
all told you this before you fell over and pushed Mr. Lord.
yes,
All of them said that before, right?
yes.
Tell me what you were doing when you learned that something had happened bad on the fourth floor.
Mario was taking me to my truck.
You were inside of his truck?
Yes,
How far was that trip? How far was he gonna take you?
I wanted yards.
And then how did you learn that something bad had happened?
As I was getting out of his truck into my truck. And I saw him doing CPR with somebody up there.
You could see that from the ground.
Yes,
So what did you do?
I told Mario to get me over there because, I was a combat medic in the military. And if there's anything I could do to help, I would.
So you told him to get you over there. Tell me what happened next.
When I approached him, on the fourth floor, I saw that his arm was severed. It stopped the bleeding, so I made a tourniquet and put it on. And then I held his head so he wouldn't move his head.
You got up there and they already got the unit off top of it.
Yes,
So they had already gotten it off him and were performing CPR.
when I got there, they were not performing CPR.
Had they already tried to do a tourniquet before you got there?
They were trying to, but they couldn't. So I made it up.
You know what was going on when the thing fell over?
Yep.
You know whether the crane was still hooked onto part of the air handle?
Yes,
How many hooks were still attached?
two.
There were two. One of them passed away and one of them lost an arm.
And there were 4 total, right?
That's correct.
So it was 50% attached, right?
Yes.
You know what the crane operator was doing at the time the unit fell over?
Nothing.
Who told you that?
I told Ben that I was leaving and he was not doing anything.
Wait a minute, make sure I'm clear. You're telling me that you told him you were leaving, he was not supposed to do anything else.
No, that's not what I said.
Help me understand what you said.
So once they disconnected the two inside shafts, it slid the unit all the way into the building. That unit was in, there's nothing else Ben can do. So I told him, I'm leaving. And you asked me what he was doing. I said he wasn't doing anything. So he read us. And every minute of it, when it happened, I was not around it.
So do you know whether he was actually craning up when this fell over?
I don't know.
Oh, was he supposed to be?
I don't know.
No. Did you tell him not to?
No, sir.
So if the signaler at the top side, Warren, radioed him and said, hey, bring it up to 3 inches, that was okay, as far as you were concerned.
If that's what they're telling me to do, yes.
Would it be appropriate for your crane operator that you were out there to sign off? Would it be appropriate for him to cable up once 2 of the hooks were undone?
If the customers tell him for him to cable up, yes, he would cable up.
Even if 2 of the hooks were undone?
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
Nothing wrong with that with something that's top heavy and has fallen over before.
This is the customer's unit. If they asked him to
What did they
cable up,
say?
then he would cable up.
So y'all just do whatever. I'm sorry, you keep stopping and then starting. Let it finish.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. No.
Your testimony is whatever the customer tells y'all to do, you do it. Is that right?
He's working in the blind. He has to do what they tell him to do.
Who's working in the blind?
And
I'm talking about the guy that radio's been. He's not supposed to be in the blind, is he?
no, he's there. I thought you were talking, you're asking me if Ben is cabling up.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. He was cabling up because Juan told him to. Did you not know that?
I wasn't there.
You didn't read, I thought you said you talked to Ben. You talked to Juan.
Yes.
Okay. Is it appropriate in a windy day to unhook 2 of the hooks on a unit that's top heavy, that's fallen over once before, and to cable up only one side? Is that appropriate?
The customer tells you to cable up, you cable up.
Your testimony as a superintendent is the customer tells you to do something, whether it's smart or safe, you do it. Is that right?
No,
Okay.
it's wrong.
You're supposed to be out there providing crane expertise, right?
Yes,
You're supposed to be the experts in crane operation, right?
yes,
You're supposed to get your crane, right? TNT owns the crane, right?
Yes,
TNT has the certified riggers, correct?
yes,
TNT has the certified crane operators, right?
yes,
TNT is hired for its crane expertise, is that true?
yes.
If the customer asks you to do something, ask TNT to do something that's not the same crane.
Neither of the lawyers understand at all what's going on a job site. You can tell they have never once worked on a construction site the whole time. They're trying their hardest though. I think Bill did it. I think Bill was operating this crane that day. And this is all cover up.
Why? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't just do whatever the customer says, do you?
No.
You exercise your expertise because that's what TNT is being paid to do, isn't that right?
Yeah.
All right, this is how I get Bill to do something that he might or may not have done. I ask him to do it in the middle of my stream because he would have to say no to all of you. Hey, Bill. I think if you don't want to do it yourself, you should allow it to happen at least. You get more of Judge Fleischer viewers in your stream than I get in mine. By far. And we want to get him a billboard for his re-election campaign. The billboards cost approximately $2,000 per month. We're about halfway to 1 month right now. So you don't have to ask anybody on your stream unless you want to. But if you would allow it, we can solicit your viewers in your chat during Judge Fleischer's stream if they want to contribute to the purchase of a billboard. Or it'll be Judge Fleischer and Judge Juanita on the billboard at the same time. Juanita Jackson. So you let me know if we can do that in your chat.
Yes.
Does Mechanical run the cranes?
No.
Okay, who runs the cranes on that job site?
Ben Finkel.
And TNT, correct?
Ben Finkel runs the crane.
Or TNT, right?
Yes.
So let's make sure we're clear. If you have a unit that's fallen over before, and if it's connected on 4 corners, but you disconnect 2 corners, in the wind, would it be smart to lift up one side? Whether 3 inches or 3 feet?
Not really, Kelly. They can
That's
just
not smart.
talk to us.
I was not a crane operator, so I don't know.
Well, you were supervising the crane operator or certainly signing him off, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Okay, now my question would be, would you advise one of the crane operators that you were either supervising or signing off, that was
They
as far
could
as
just
left?
tell us. They could
I
just send a
wasn't
text.
looking up, so I can't answer that question.
I
You
will.
should be able to, you should know that that's not very smart.
The customer.
What about Juan? Should he not know that? Was Juan a certified rigger?
I don't know if one is a certified rigger or not.
Let's look at exhibit 11. Go to this page stamped 63. This is the statement that you prepared.
Yes.
When did you write this?
Day after.
You see the date?
Yes.
What is the date?
9/22/21.
Is that the same day that Mr. Laurie was crushed?
Yes.
Is that the day you prepared this?
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't the day after, was it?
No.
Okay.
This book.
Is that your signature there?
Yes.
Let's look at the top. I was on job to observe, lift, and operator. Due to load being top heavy. Do you see that language?
I did.
Did you write that?
I did.
So you were there to observe.
Did anybody else notice that Bill didn't answer me? He didn't give me permission nor say I couldn't do it. Bill just ignored me completely. Should I take that as a yes then? Like he didn't say no. Right? No, it's not causing trouble. But they don't have to join my Discord. There's no, I mean, they can just talk. They can just, say it.
Lift and operator because the load was top heavy.
That was one of the reasons.
Kind of, you left that part out earlier, so let's make sure we're clear. You were there to sign off then, right?
Yes,
You were also there to observe because the load being lifted was top heavy, isn't that right?
yes,
You were there to supervise a load that was top heavy, weren't you?
and observe that.
Listen to me. You were there to supervise because that particular load was top heavy, isn't that right?
Yes,
Okay. So when you told me earlier that you were there just to observe, that you weren't supervising, that was false, was it?
no,
Because you put in writing. You put in writing. You were there on the very first thing you wrote. I was on the job to observe, lift, and operator due to load being top heavy. You wrote that, right?
I did,
That's a true statement, isn't it?
yes.
But you didn't participate in the JSA, did you?
No, because I was not going to touch the unit.
You didn't sign the JSA, did you?
Bill, I have a spare picture of some boobs. Do you want me to send it to you? Get him. He'll answer that one. Bill, do you want me to send you a pizza?
I don't know. I have a broken leg and a cast.
Then we go on to the next page of your statement. You say, so, start with the word so, since it was the one we had concerns about, and it went up and in successfully, me and Mario got in his truck. Is that right?
Yes,
So you were there specifically to watch the movement of the one you had concerns about, and once you thought that was over, you were on your way to the next job, is that right?
yes,
Okay, now we know what really happened, don't we? Because you wrote it that very day, isn't that true?
I did.
And let's go down to the bottom. Is this the statement that you wrote? It kept going, I noticed they had trouble with the belt. Did you write all that?
Yes,
And did you end your statement which says that where everything was left? See that? Is that the end of your statement?
yes.
Okay. We got through a lot of the depots today. So tomorrow we should get into the live lawyering. Tomorrow we should see this guy who looks like he's currently asleep in action. Oh man, guys, breathe through it when you get to him. Just breathe through it. The judge, this poor guy over here, and the judge are. He just, how they have the Elmo. They have the Elmo so they could just, publish things so everybody can see. Well, normally when you're in front of a jury and you want to show them something, you have to get it admitted first. We all know this. And there's a process to get it admitted. You have to lay the foundation. You have to authenticate it. You have to admit it as evidence. Well, he doesn't know all that. He's like, no, I just want to show him this. Oh my God. Okay. It's fine. It'll be fine. And when he calls for a mistrial, Oh my God. All right, we'll get there. We will get there. All right, I haven't set up OJ yet. I'm gonna take me 2 minutes to set it up. I will see some of you at OJ, which which won't be fine. It will be fine. No, it won't be fine. It's so hard. OJ is so hard. Cochran is so Johnny Cochran. You know, we say Daryl Brooks and Michael McDonald and no, guys, they're not even close to as infuriating and as Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran is the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. He infuriates. Yeah, I might have to, because he is, I just can't believe it. And he keeps asking the same questions over and over again. And I love the smiling lawyer. CJ, I can't even tell you the first time I saw that, before I even showed it to you guys, I laughed so hard the entire time. I was dying. I could not stop. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to end this now, and I'm going to set up OJ and then pop right into OJ. So I will see you all very soon or later on. And Bill, I'm going to get you to answer my question. Don't worry. Bye, guys.
Got these life echoes, digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Freedom tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes hear a sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. With each stream, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle